Board of Selectmen to order. This meeting is being cablecast by Area 58, Community Access Media, Channel 15. There are openings on several committees. Please refer to your Board Selectmen page on our website for the listings and applications. Would you stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we are here for one article and one piece of business only, and it's to discuss the blight nuisance proposal article for the annual town meeting warrant. There have been some changes, and this is the subcommittee for that, and so we are going to approve or not approve it, and we are also going to try to add informational portion to the warrant, so it's easier understood.
Mr. Chair, could I interrupt?
Yes, of course.
Since there's only two people in the audience, could they have a copy of what we're doing? Sorry, Elaine, I can make the copies if you want me to.
Well,
Huh?
we have all the time.
Okay.
We'll wait for Elaine.
Well, you can
She's-
afford to take time. You already had a sub.
It's taking the minutes. That's right. I'm not hungry.
Three.
Is there a dead time zone that we can't have dead air?
No, it's just people.
I had an
People
FCC
tuning in will say, "What are they doing?"
I had an FCC license one time, and one of the answers to the questions were, no dead time on the air. Fact check. Elaine will be fact checking that.
And I'm
Okay.
assuming the town administrator won't be here.
Okay, so how shall we proceed?
Well, I think maybe for those that are watching and will be watching on YouTube because of our great Nielsen ratings, what happened was at our last selectmen's meeting when we were going through all the warrant articles, this one was brought up, Article 20. It's a bylaw amendment relative to nuisance and blighted properties. And the feeling of the board, and anybody can feel free to correct me, was it was not really written that we could all support it. There was too many points that we thought went too far. And so at the chairman's direction, a subcommittee of us, there were three of us, were to meet with Stephen Cole, the town planner, at different times, and just fire off some ideas. And through our discussions, we came up with several sections that we found we had a problem with, and we have some proposed amendments to those. These are all from Section 2 of the original, Section C from the nuisance, in its definitions. First one was 2CII, which was originally said dangerous or unsafe structures or personal property. This is now changed to dangerous or unsafe structures. The next section was subpart 3, dilapidated structures on property.
Or property.
Pardon?
I'm sorry, or property.
Yep.
Right.
Well,
And-
you said on property, sorry.
Or property, and it's was been changed. The recommended change is dilapidated structures or real property. 4, overgrown vegetation which may harbor rats and vermin, conceal pools of stagnant water or other threats to public health, or which is otherwise detrimental to neighboring properties or property values. The recommended change is going to be overgrown vegetation, which may harbor rats or vermin, conceal pools of stagnant water, or other threats to the public health. Section 5 under the nuisance definitions. The original was dead, decayed, diseased or hazardous tree, debris or trash. It's now been recommended that the change have it read dead, decayed, diseased or hazardous trees, debris or trash that may pose public safety hazards. We had a section 7, personal property that is exposed to the elements without protection against deterioration, rust, or dilapidation. That has since been removed, deleted. The next section was vehicles, machinery, or mechanical equipment or parts thereof that are located on soil, grass, or other porous surfaces that may result in the destruction of vegetation or contamination of soil. The recommended change is vehicles, machinery, or mechanical equipment or parts thereof that are located on soil, grass, or other porous surfaces that may result in contamination of soil, taking out the destruction of vegetation part. And then finally, part 4B, which is under the administration and enforcement section of this proposed bylaw. Originally, it stated, except in the case of an emergency posing an immediate threat to the public health and safety, or as otherwise provided herein, the enforcing person shall seek to provide immediate notice in writing to the owner and occupant of property being maintained in violation of this bylaw, outlining such violation in general terms and providing a reasonable deadline for taking corrective action. And recommended that the change is except in the case of emergency posing an immediate threat to the public and safety, or as otherwise provided herein, the enforcing agency shall seek to provide immediate notice in writing to the owner and occupant of the property being maintained in violation of this bylaw, outlining such violation in general terms and providing a reasonable deadline for taking corrective action. Basically, we put in the word in there. Oh, continues. That's what happened, because it wasn't down here. Okay, also, part 4B continued originally. The enforcing person may, if the owner or occupant fails to comply with such enforcement order, seek to enforce such order as set forth herein. Changing to, the enforcing person may, if the owner or occupant fails to comply with such enforcement order, seek to enforce such order as set forth herein. Basically, these are the changes, and because these were the sections that most of us on the board found the most objectionable in the original bylaw. So I guess we're going to need motions to either accept them all, or we can do it one at a time.
Well, my preference is to do it all at once. The intent of this was to have this article pertain to safety concerns. Things could be an attractive nuisance on a piece of property, and I understand all that, but what our goal here was to make the property owner understand that if it's an unsafe building, that something needs to be done with it. We tried to get out the personal equipment because we have farmers who will have tractors, bulldozers, and so forth around, and we didn't want that to be part of this article at all. So I think we've done a pretty good job at rewriting it, but we should probably take a motion and then discussion afterwards.
Okay, I move to approve the proposed changes.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I have some discussion, if I may.
You may.
Thank you. So, does anyone here know how many houses or homes would fall under this bylaw? Do we have a number on that?
No, the specific ones that we talked about there was 3 specific houses. But I think I didn't think we were pertaining to specific houses or specific locations. This was an article in general. So we wanted to make sure that if a house became unsafe or an attractive nuisance to kids going by or something, that we would be able to address it. That was the,
Okay, but it says real property.
real property is real estate
I
property.
understand
not-
I know what it means. But you're saying you're not targeting specific houses, but this will target specific, it will do more than just the 3 houses you're talking about.
Absolutely, and that was the whole purpose of it. We wanted something that would last into a bylaw, so that we could have an enforcement to have the property owner maintain in a safe fashion those homes or properties. It could be a building, it doesn't have to be a home, real property.
Okay, but I guess, there are 2 issues I have, is that this definition of dilapidated really covers more than just the idea of something being unsafe. Like the example I brought up last time, you might take a look at my roof and think, oh boy, but I'm fine with it. I mean, so who makes those calls? And I guess I'm really concerned because this to me sets us up for some possible lawsuits. People, who are you to say my house, just because I don't have the money to, I mean, I'm being a devil's advocate here.
Yeah, of
'cause,
course, yeah, that's why we're a board.
And the other thing is on 2C, little Roman numeral 8, I don't think you've untargeted the agricultural community at all. It still says vehicles, machinery, or mechanical equipment, or parts thereof. I mean, I can think of a gazillion properties right now that have, vehicles on them that are used for parts, and that's a piece of mechanical equipment.
This one just was if it was near wetland.
It doesn't say if it was near wetland. It doesn't say anything about wetlands, Dave.
Okay.
It says that may result in the contamination of the soil. Well, I have to be honest, our cars parked in our driveways may result in contamination of soil too,
Okay.
if they're leaking. So, and I'm really not trying to be difficult, but I think that's a serious point.
Yeah.
I don't have a paved driveway. I don't have a drain in my driveway that goes to something that can clean the stuff that might seep off my car. I doubt
Sure.
most of
This-
us do.
I'll tell you why this was written. There was a piece of property that was being used as a junkyard, and the junkyard had no permit. It was in a residential area, and so this article, the design of this particular one was for that junkyard.
So you're targeting one specific property?
We're not targeting one, we're saying we don't like that. So if somebody else was gonna build a junkyard in their house, we wouldn't want that either.
Well, I wouldn't like it either, but again, if that's like spot zoning,
Yeah.
You can't do that.
Okay,
I
well,
mean, that's my take on it.
yeah, no, it's a good, valid point. I have no argument with that at all. Okay, so should we, do you want to amend the motion to change the wording on that, or how do you want to proceed? Sarah?
No, I have a problem with the whole bylaw. It's not that I enjoy looking at something that I consider looks trashy,
Okay.
but as I said, one man's trash is another man's treasure.
Yeah, no,
And who am I to make that call? And I do want to correct the record. There is some enforcement power that the town has. I understand it's not huge, but, the Board of Health, I know they've done things like that before. Put yellow tape on it, told them, put signs on the door, don't enter. Is everyone going to pay attention to those?
They don't.
Probably not,
And
but,
that's what we talked about was with the planning director. We spoke with him, and he gave us a scenario, a specific scenario, that they have no authority at all.
well, the planning director wouldn't. It would be the zoning enforcement officer and the Board of Health, the health agent,
Okay,
and probably the fire chief if there was something that was a fire hazard. Now, while they don't have a lot of authority, maybe there's a reason that the state doesn't give them a lot of authority.
Yeah.
Those are my 2 cents.
Okay, well,
And in support of what Sarah's saying, I mean, we have used that on that garage on Wenham Road that was always had way too much stuff just sitting around between the fire department and health. They were able to get an enforcement order for them to clean up, and it looks real nice now. They've
Yeah.
done a good job at it. So
Actually,
it took quite a while.
It has.
But
And actually, that was when I was conservation agent, so we all got together, and, because it was a
Yeah,
danger
this is-
to a
well,
lot of things.
This one is recent because I know it. I've gotten calls on it before.
No, I know where you mean, right by Herringbrook. Yeah, yeah, we called them on it as well.
Okay.
But it was a great joint effort, and you're right, it looks a lot better now.
so should we just remove this portion, or are you saying you're not, 2C8 on vehicles, machinery, mechanical equipment? Are you not happy with that particular verbiage or verbiage?
I'm just not happy with the whole
The whole
bylaw. I don't know how else to say it. I think we're setting ourselves up for something not good, and I think a lot of this relies on somebody's judgment call. Who is the enforcing authority? It actually doesn't say that, but, so,
I think, okay, I won't debate it, but,
Yeah.
I'll wait till it's comment time on
Mr.
this.
Chairman, I have a question. Would it be under our purview if we were to so vote it to just remove the article and not even bring it to town meeting?
It,
We could-
it is,
Yeah, we-
our right,
yeah.
but,
Well, I asked that because I'm wondering if Ms. Hewens would feel better if that was the tact we were taking with this.
I think so, I mean.
I think maybe we should hold off. Might have to get Stephen back in here, because Stephen, the planning director, who helped write this, had some very good specific answers on those exact questions that you're asking. So maybe it would be in
Mr. Chairman,
a safe. Is
I
it
know
too late?
Stephen's on vacation. Do we have time to that? I don't know when he's
Okay.
back.
Yeah. He did, if I may, he did give a pretty good presentation the last time he was here. I just happen to disagree with it.
Yeah.
But-
I'm okay with that.
And I think that, I'm not sure this is a fight you want to be having out there.
Okay.
There's I can think of numerous places where I know people live who do their best, and just don't have the money to buy
Yeah,
a
it's
new
not
something.
that. It's
or-
mostly, this was written, I think, mostly for commercial. We had a lot of
Well,
commercial.
my point still remains the same.
Yeah.
It's going to target places where people live.
Yep, okay. Point well taken. Got no issue with that.
Yeah.
So,
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
I know we have a meeting coming up on the 11th, correct? And that's where basically everything has to be done by the 11th, because it has to go to print, that weekend or Friday and be issued, because it has to be out 7 days prior to.
just post it,
town-
right? Has
yeah.
to be posted 7 days.
And,
But
so
maybe-
we could go ahead and just, if you want, punt this to our meeting on the 11th and
It's too late.
Yeah, I was going to say, maybe Elaine could help us
That's why we
with,
met today.
when does this have to go to print, Elaine?
Well, it has to be posted on the 11th, so the 11th in the evening would be too late.
Okay,
Okay.
We can do it Friday, but we are not going to.
okay.
Thank you.
Okay, well, I think it requires a vote.
We have a motion that's
We
been
have a
seconded
motion, and we
to
have
accept.
seconded,
Yeah, Mr.
as
Townsend
it's written.
seconded.
And
Yeah.
then we've had discussion. Does anybody else have anything they want to say about it? Or do you have more, Sarah? I'm awful
Nope,
sorry.
no, thanks, that's all right, I'm all set.
No other discussion?
Nope.
Then I think we should take a vote and to see where this is going to go. So kind of 4 of us here, it's kind of awkward, but so all those in favor of,
I wonder if it's worth, we have another meeting on Wednesday. Technically, it's just for executive session, but I wonder if we should put it off just for the case of having the whole board
Again,
vote?
It's a
we wouldn't have
timing thing,
time.
48 hours in
That's true.
advance.
That's
to
true.
Change the agenda. So
Yeah, a good point. Okay.
I think it's, so, we should take a vote. All those in favor of
The motion?
the motion, please signify by saying
Aye.
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 Aye. And all those opposed,
Opposed?
say no.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make another motion, which may not make much sense to you, but I wanted to get the first
possible.
motion out of the way. Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we withdraw Article 20 from the warrant in its entirety.
I'll second that.
Okay.
I think there's, I think everybody, and Steve included, did a great job in trying to answer a lot of things, but Ms. Hewens brings up some very good points. It's one of those, you're right, we're in Carver. If we were in Duxbury or, Weston or something like that, those
Yep.
fancy places, this would probably be a no-brainer. Let's face it, we have old-time Yankees in this town.
Yeah, no, I originally voted against this, but after working with Stephen and after understanding the intent of this article, it made perfect sense. It gave him the authority, maybe not him specifically, but gave the town a path to improve a piece of property. And the way it was explained to me was I felt it was better if we took out the personal property things. And I think that one was left in simply because of that junkyard use, in my opinion. So, but we got a motion. We
Mr.
had a
Chairman,
second.
just, I also voted against this at the last Selectmen's meeting, and while after talking to Stephen, I think there are good intent behind this, and I think in a future town meeting, perhaps we could bring something back that, we might be able to consider. I just don't think there's enough time, and I think the wording needs more work, and
Okay.
I would support withdrawing this as well.
Because, intent, I think we all understand the intent. And I think we all agree with the intent. But intent sometimes runs afoul of what's legal, what's not legal, and, personal property rights. So I think this is something that really we need to flesh out over the course of the next year, not just have it, show up 3 weeks before we have to have things settled, and maybe get more people involved. It's just an idea, but.
Okay.
I
well,
agree.
Any additional comments, Sarah, on that? Any other thing? Well, then we should take a vote on that then, I guess. So all in favor of pulling this, the motion made by Alan to pull this from the warrant, say aye.
Aye.
And all opposed, say no. No. It's kind of quiet in here.
And now we don't
The
have
no
to
is
write,
quiet.
now we don't have to write an informational summary.
Look at that, huh? Okay. Well, I think that solves the problem du jour. And
Motion
Mr.
to adjourn.
motion
And
to
I'll second that.
close our meeting, and all in favor?
Aye.
Say
Aye.
All opposed?